Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. We're going to take a few minutes to allow everyone to join us. So while we wait, why don't you drop in the comments where you're joining us from? Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from? Hmm. Okay, welcome, welcome. Yes, I see you. You're very welcome. Oh, great. You're welcome, Twin. So we'll just give a few minutes so that a few more people will join and then we can start the session. So, Twin, what is the biggest thing that you would like to learn from the session today? Okay. Whatever it is that you desire, that is what you will get. I'm trying to make sure that we're live everywhere that we said we're meant to be live at. So just give me a second. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, that's great. Project management is actually one of the biggest remote career paths right now. So you're in the right place. Okay. Un momento. I'm currently in Mexico. So I'm actually learning Spanish, which has been interesting to say the least. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. I'm going to start now. I think we've given enough time. So let me start. Okay. So, as we know, the main reason we're here is pretty much to learn how we can land a remote role from anywhere in the world that we are. Whether you are in Nigeria, you are in South Africa. I know we're not friends with South Africa now. You're in Mexico, you're in the UK, you're in the US. wherever you are now, you can actually land a remote role. So that is why we're here. As you're joining in, welcome. If you can drop a comment and let us know where you're joining from so that we can know how many different countries we have here. All right. So, introductions. My name is Chinelo Ngene. I am the founder of remotelifestyle.co. And over the next 1 hour or so, I'm going to walk you through exactly why some people earn 3, 4 times more than others doing the same work with the same skills, with the same qualifications. The only difference being how they're positioning themselves. And of course, what you can do about it so that you also can start to earn more income, get more flexibility, more visibility, and generally be able to do the work that you love and earn the kind of salary that you deserve. Right? So I'm going to start with the question. Two people, same skills, same degree, same hustle. One of them is earning $800 a month. $800 right now in Naira is about, let's say, 1 million Naira. So even the person earning $800 is earning really well going by Nigerian standards. But still, you're earning $800 per month for the same job that someone else is earning $4,000 a month. Just think about that. What do you think is the difference between these two people? What is the difference? What do you think is the difference? Feel free to leave a comment. What do you think is the difference between these two people? Why is one person earning 800 and the other person is earning 4,000 with everything, same experience, same skills, same everything? Why do you think? So, before we proceed with answering that question, I'm going to show you what you're going to walk away with from this webinar today. You're going to figure out why two people with the same skills can earn completely different salaries. The geography ceiling. Why does it keep talented people underpaid? How can you position yourself for international opportunities? Because for a lot of us, we say we want to get international roles, but do we even know how to position ourselves to get those international roles? Do we know what the international recruiters are looking out for? Do we know the exact words, the exact framings to put on our CV to make sure that when an international recruiter sees it, they can say, okay, this person definitely can do the job. They have the skills, they have the qualifications. And of course, I'm going to share with you the exact steps that you can use right now to start competing in the global job market. So, a little about me. I was working in Lagos for actually about 15 years. 15 years, closer to 15 than 14. I started off my career as anybody else would from the trenches, and I grew pretty quickly, right? I was able to get to the level of a VP before I left my job. I was a group head. I was leading multiple teams across multiple locations. At one point, I had over 30 people reporting to me, right? So when I'm speaking to this, it's from lived experience. So at some point, I was doing what everybody else in the school was doing. I was showing up, I was putting in the work, I was doing the trainings, I was, hoping to get promoted and then I'll earn more. But the crazy thing is, as much as I was doing all of this and advancing in my career, I realized that there were people who were even at the level of those reporting to me, and they were earning like three times my salary. Can you imagine that? So let's say I was earning 2 million naira as an example, and then you have someone who just started off their career and they're already earning $3,000. This is someone who literally just started their careers, and there I am, group head, 15 years of experience, and this person is earning way more. So for me, I think that was the wake up call. Like, this cannot be what my future is. And I eventually started to look into remote work. And I applied the skills, the strategies. At the beginning, it was a lot of work, but I continued to learn, I continued to improve, and here I am now. And the great thing is, I've made all the mistakes so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. So I'm here now going to share the things that I learned along the way and how you can fast track it so you don't have to spend as much time as I did figuring things out. That is the reason why we're all here. Okay, so we're going to start with this. This is the premise. Why do identical skills get paid differently? So, as we all know, even for people working directly in Nigeria, you can have two people doing the same job in different companies and earning different salaries, right? So, what that tells us is that the pay is set by where the company is, not where you are. So, if you're in Nigeria and the company is in the US, they're not going to say, okay, because Chinelo lives in Nigeria, we're going to pay her differently. No, the company is still going to pay you based on what their pay rate is as a US company. So that is one thing that we always need to understand, right? If we look at how does remote hiring work, for local hiring, your pay is benchmarked by the country's market. That's why you go for interview. And when you're getting to the last stage, what are they asking you? They're like, okay, how much were you earning at your last job? Honestly, the only time I hear that question is when I'm interviewing with Nigerian recruiters. Nobody else asks that. Globally, it's not even ethical, right? So that's why they ask you that question. How much were you earning at your last job, so that they can now use that and maybe add a 10% or a 20% and bump it up a bit, right? And as we know, the standard of living is always going to determine how much you're getting paid. But if you focus on remote first hiring, the pay is based on the value of the role, not based on what you were earning at your last role. You will see people who were earning, as an example, maybe they were earning $2,000 at their last role, and at the interview they ask you, how much is your desired salary, and you say, okay, maybe you're trying to be humble, you're like, um maybe 2,500 or $3,000. The company is not going to pay you 2,000 or $3,000 if that is not what is on their pay scale. If for that role, right, the salary band is $5,000, even though you have said that $3,000 is what you're comfortable with, they are still going to pay you that 5,000 because that is what the pay scale for that role is. So that's one thing that is different between how salary is determined locally in Nigeria versus how it's determined, in remote first companies. So they are not looking at your location, they are not looking at your circumstance, they are not looking at what you were earning before. It's based on the value that they attach to your role. Now, I want us to talk about the geography ceiling. The geography ceiling, what does that mean to you? I want us to be as interactive as possible, right? Because, the idea of this is I want it to be a masterclass where I ask questions and you answer based on your understanding. And if you're correct, then um, we go with that. But if you're not correct, then I'll correct you, right? What do you think the geography ceiling means? Hmm? The geography ceiling. Okay. For me, what I would say the geography ceiling is, how I define it is, and it's an invisible cap on your income. Like the moment you were born in a particular country, the moment you were born in Nigeria, the moment you were born in Kenya, the moment you were born in Malawi, the moment you were born, wherever it is that you were born, automatically there's a geography ceiling that has been set. And unless you actively, try to break through that, you're always going to be limited by your geography ceiling. And that's the truth of the matter. Yeah, that's what the geography ceiling is. So, how does the geography ceiling show up? How does it? This is exactly how it shows up, and little by little, we start to imbibe that as what we accept. This is all we can do. We can only offer local market rates. The role isn't open to your region. If you have been applying to remote roles here, you will know that there are some jobs that you would apply to, and you will see this role is only open to people living in the US, or it's only open to people living in the UK, or it's only open to people living in Europe. There are some jobs that are limited to geography. Promotions and raises are capped by local benchmark. That is what the geography ceiling does. But what we're doing here today is we're going to break the geography ceiling. We're going to figure out how we can be in any geographical location possible and access global opportunities. That is exactly what we're going to be doing. And before we proceed, I just wanted to let all of us know that I have a gift for everyone who is attending the webinar live. So if you want to leave and watch the replay, you might miss the gift. So this gift is for people who are watching live and who stay till the end. So buckle up. It's going to be quite a ride. Okay, so now that we've set the foundation, I'm going to talk to us about your remote applications. I'm pretty sure that for most of us here right now, we've probably at some point or the other, we've probably applied for a remote job. We've applied, we've done everything that Google says we should do, we've done everything that ChatGPT says we should do. We've set our CV, we've looked for the roles, we've applied, and yet these applications are not progressing, right? That's the frustrating part, right? We've been applying, we've been applying. If you've experienced this, you've been applying and applying and applying and not getting called. Drop it in the comments. Let me know if that has been your experience. So now, how many of us have heard of ATS? ATS pretty much means application tracking software. It's like an AI. We're all in the age of AI now. So ATS is an application tracking software that a lot of recruiters right now use globally to pretty much sieve through applications. And the reason why your application doesn't even get through the first level, because the main thing is you want to even get through the first level, you want to get through the AI, you want to get through the ATS system and then get to a human being, because it's the human being who will now provide some nuance. When you're speaking with a human, then you can explain, your experience, you can explain your value, you can express how much you're passionate about the job and how you believe that you can do the job. But you cannot even do all that if you don't get past the AI. So what that says is that your resume is the starting point. If your resume is not formatted properly, if you don't have the right keywords, if you haven't put the things that the job description is looking for, automatically your application will be rejected. You won't even go further. That's why you see people in a month, they've applied to over 100 jobs and they haven't heard back from even one of them, because it's most of them, it's all the same ATS system. It scans your resume, it looks for the keywords, it looks for words in the job description to see if you're qualified. And remember, this is AI. This is not a human being who is like, okay, maybe you're, for example, you're a project manager and you're like, okay, I worked on a project or I led a project, but you haven't said on your resume that, okay, I contributed XYZ to this project, which led to XYZ improvements, right? And that's what the ATS has been programmed to look out for. So in your mind, you're like, well, I'm a project manager, or I'm a customer support representative, or I'm a marketer, and I've put it on my CV. What are they looking for? Like everything that they listed on the job description, I have it on my CV. But how do you have it on your CV? That is the question. How is it represented on your CV? That is what you have to look out for, because this AI, they are not trained for nuance. They are trained to look out for keywords, numbers, and make sure that what you're positioning for is aligned with the job that is being advertised, right? Yeah, it's not that you're not good enough, it's that your application actually never had a chance to prove that you're not good enough. Yes, exactly, Twain. So a lot of us, we've definitely experienced that. I remember when I first started my target, I used to watch like all these videos, I used to read all this, and they would say, oh, make sure that you apply to at least 50 jobs every day, and that way you're playing a game of numbers. Let me tell you, I have applied to, at some point in this my month, I've applied to over 200 jobs in 1 month. 200 jobs, so that you know I'm not speaking. 200, I applied to over 200 jobs in 1 month. Guess how many I heard back from to even have an interview out of over 200? Four. Only four. So imagine the success rate of applying to 200 jobs and only four of them you hear back from in 1 month. So it's a real thing until I figured out, okay, clearly there's something missing and I need to fix whatever it is. So if you've been in the same system, let me tell you, it's not that you're not good enough, right? It's your application. The application actually never had a chance to prove it. But you know, and that's good news actually, because think about it. If the problem were technical, like, oh, you're not good enough, or you don't have the right skills, or you don't have the experience, that would take years for you to fix it, right? But if it's something that is okay, I'm just not writing the right things on my CV. I need to format my CV properly. I need to add the right keywords. I need to, target the right jobs. Then it's something that you can easily fix versus if it was that you were not qualified. So now we're going to talk about how you can actually position yourself. So how many people here are looking to land a remote role within the next 90 days? If your target is to land at least one remote job in the next 90 days, drop it in the comments. At least one remote job in the next 90 days. That is not too far-fetched. It's completely doable, and a lot of people have done it, myself included, actually. So it's not, I'm not telling you something that is not obtainable. It's completely obtainable. And I'm going to show you how, right? So these are the main things that you need to actually fix to start to change everything in your remote application strategy. The first thing, pull out your CV right now. I want you to pull out your CV as we're watching this. Pull out your CV right now. Now look at your CV. In your CV, are you speaking in outcomes and numbers, or are you just listing your responsibilities? So, for example, you work in marketing, right? So, does your CV say, I created social media posts, I wrote blog posts, I updated the website, I conducted events. Is that what your CV says? If that's what your CV says, then just know that you're not ready for remote job. Just continue doing your local role, because there's no global company that is going to look at that and say, oh, wow, okay, I need to hire this person. Your CV, your resume needs to speak in outcomes, right? So that same marketing person, now let's speak in outcomes and numbers. So you posted on social media, right? Instead of saying I created social media posts or I posted on social media, why don't you say I was responsible for driving the organization's global content strategy, which led to 25% increase in leads generation. All you're saying is that you were posting on social media, right? And from posting on social media, you were able to get interest, people that were interested in your company and who maybe eventually decided to purchase whatever your company is selling. But you haven't, the first person has not said that in their CV. They just said, oh, I'm a social media manager. I post on social media. That's it. Everyone knows that if you're a social media manager, you post on social media, that's your job. But what were you responsible for driving in terms of outcomes and numbers? That is what these recruiters are looking out for. They're not looking out for you listing. Some people will just go and copy the job description on their offer letter and paste it bam on their CV. You can't do that. You have to speak in terms of outcomes and numbers, right? So that is the first shift. Aha. That is the first shift that you need to make if you want to seriously advance yourself and get beyond the ATS screen. The second shift is you need to tailor your resume. I can't even say this enough. You need to tailor your resume. Some people, they've been applying for jobs for the past 1 year. They use the same CV to apply to all the jobs. In fact, some people even use the same cover letter. You're applying to a job at Coca-Cola, you're using the same CV. You're applying to a job at Facebook, you're using the same cover letter. How? How do how how do you want that to it can't work now. It cannot work. So the thing that you need to do is for each role that has been posted, you need to look at the job description and say, okay, this is what this job description says, and this is my CV. Does my CV speak to this job description? You need to take some keywords from the job description and include that in your CV. So if the job description says we're looking for a social media manager who has 5 years of experience, delivering results on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, and on your CV, you have that you're a social media manager, full stop, right? Which is what you've done. What you now need to do is you have to elaborate on that. Since these people have specified that what they want is someone who has direct experience on these platforms mentioned, you have to mention those platforms on your CV. You have to mention the results and the outcomes, as we said, that you've driven on these platforms on your CV. So if while you were a social media manager, you were able to help your organization go viral on TikTok, talk about that on your CV. Talk about how your strategy delivered over 500,000 views on one single video on TikTok. Put that, right? That is what makes you stand out. But if you're using the same CV to apply to all jobs, then you're obviously not going to be able to do that. And obviously, you can't be tailoring your CV and still applying to 100 jobs in 1 day. Yeah, unless you're a machine, it's not possible. So I always advise people, you're much more better off applying to a few targeted roles versus mass applying and getting nothing, right? So the time that you will spend in curating your CV and your cover letter to apply to, let's say maybe 5 roles that you've identified that look, I'm a very strong candidate for this role. You're better off with that, and you're going to get more results with that versus just sharing. It's the same CV. You send it, you send. ATS is doing its thing. Okay, boom, rejected. Unfortunately, if you go to your email, all you'll be seeing is unfortunately, 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 because you're just like everybody else. And your your focus, your target should always be, how do I stand out? Because these people are getting hundreds of applications. When you go on LinkedIn and you want to apply to a job, you see 100 people have already clicked apply. I'm wondering, 100 people, how do I want to start competing with over 100 people? And remember, with remote jobs, you are not just competing with people around you, because with local jobs, the good thing is you're competing with just people around you who are like, there are not that many people, right? So if you're good enough, you're likely going to shine. But again, the idea is you want to go beyond the local market so that you can earn global income. So when you always remember, I'm competing with people in the US, I'm competing with people in India, with people in the Philippines, with people are all around the world. And these are people who already know what the recruiters are looking out for. So you have to mentally make that shift, right? So that is shift two. Tailor your resume and your LinkedIn to the market you're targeting and the role that you're targeting. So the next shift is build proof of remote readiness. What that means is you have to show that you understand and you're comfortable with using async tools, you're comfortable using remote tools, tools like Slack, tools like Notion, tools like Zoom. These are things that we've probably used in our day-to-day lives and we don't think it's a big deal. But again, these ATS, these recruiters, they are looking out for those keywords. So when you're listing skills, you're mentioning things like, oh, I'm skilled with using project management tools like Slack, like ClickUp, like Monday.com. Boom, already they are thinking, okay, this person clearly has experience with working remotely, right? Another thing that you should do in building proof of remote readiness, depending on the kind of career that you're in, for instance, if you're a graphic designer, if you're a web designer, you work in marketing, you're a customer support representative or customer success manager, you're a project manager, you need to have a proof of work. Whatever that means in your own specific career, you need to have a proof of work. So whether that means putting together a portfolio, you need to have that, right? Even for some of these jobs, when you are applying, they ask you for a link to your portfolio because they want to see beyond what you're writing in your CV. They want to see actual proof that you've done this work before. And that is one way to definitely stand out. When you already a proof of your work, you have a portfolio, you can show that, okay, I know this work, I've done it. So if you don't have a portfolio right now, note that as something that you want to work on because it definitely sets you apart. So LinkedIn, I want to talk about LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, no, let me scratch that because some people have LinkedIn that they've not even looked at in like 3 years. If you don't have an updated LinkedIn profile in 2026, drop it in the comments. I want to see the people that are still joking with LinkedIn, that still don't know the kind of impact that LinkedIn can have. If you don't have an updated LinkedIn profile, drop it in the comments. So I'm going to share briefly a personal story. I remember one there was a job that I had applied for, right? I applied with my CV. I did not give them my LinkedIn. I didn't, my CV. So they liked me. They wanted to hire me. And then I got an email from them. So their email was pretty much saying, we want you to come on board. We want you to take the job. However, we saw this role and that role because at the time I had like three roles listed as open. I was doing three jobs at the time. So they were like, "Oh, we can see that you're working this job, you're working that job, you're working this job." So like Are you working all those jobs, or are these old jobs that you haven't updated? These are people, I never gave them my LinkedIn, mind you. I applied for the job with my resume, but they went to look for me on LinkedIn. So what that tells you is a lot of these recruiters, right, when they look at your CV, anybody can write anything in their CV, but it's much more difficult to lie on LinkedIn because everyone can see it. Your past company, your past colleagues, your past employers, they can see it. So it's more difficult for people to write rubbish on LinkedIn, which is why they always go to double check what you said that you are or what you said that you do with what is on your LinkedIn. So if you haven't updated your LinkedIn, imagine these people want to hire you, then they go on your LinkedIn and they can't see all the things that you said that you are. Oh, I've done this, I've done that. They can't see it. So now they are thinking, did you actually do all these things or did you just fabricate it? Right? So LinkedIn is like your shop front, basically. It's your store and it's there. It's like how you want to sell your market and you list all your goods for people to come and look at it and buy. And the greatest thing about LinkedIn and optimizing it is that LinkedIn also works based on keywords. So I've gotten, even as far back as several years ago, I've gotten emails from recruiters who are like, oh, we liked your profile. We would like you to, explore if you're interested in so and so and so opportunity. Now imagine if my LinkedIn was not optimized. I would never get those messages. I would never get those emails, right? So you need to treat your LinkedIn as your shop where you display your goods and hope that people will either find you and come and buy, or you can send the link to people and they will look at the goods that you've displayed and think, okay, I like this, I'm going to buy it. So if you haven't optimized your LinkedIn, please let that be one of the main takeaways that you get from this. Your LinkedIn is very important. Um, you have to take it seriously, right? It's one of the fastest and cheapest things you can fix. And like, it doesn't take a long time if you know what you're doing. Okay, now let's bring this all together. This is where we've all been waiting for, right? We've set the foundation. We've talked about the things that you need to fix, where you need to focus on. So now we're going to talk about the roadmap, everything that you need to do step by step to actually start seeing results in real remote applications, right? So this is your action roadmap. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want. This is your action roadmap of what you need to do starting today. So the first thing, you need to audit your resume and your LinkedIn, as I've said. And obviously, I can understand if you don't know how to go about it or you're stumped about what to do, what are they looking out for, what should I put, what should I remove, what should I highlight. It's completely okay if you don't know how to do it. That's why we're here. And that's one of the things that I can help you with. So if you would like me to look at your resume or your LinkedIn and identify what is missing, what needs to be fixed, and even help you fix it, then stay to the end of this webinar as I will have an offer for people who would like me to audit their resume and their LinkedIn. Okay, so the second thing that you need to do is identify 3 to 5 remote companies to target this week, right? Remember, I said it's far better to spend your time personalizing your applications to specific companies that you are already overqualified for versus applying to hundreds of jobs and you hear nothing, right? The next thing, you need to rewrite your story around outcomes, not tasks, and to show proof of work. If you've done it, where can we see it? If you've done it, show it, right? And you need to apply with intention, not just applying for the sake of applying. You need to apply fewer roles but more targeted. That is what wins. If you're just applying into the air, you're going to get results from doing that. Okay? So that is this is exactly what you need to do this week, one by one. The truth is that getting a remote job is actually not rocket science. So long as you know what to do, it's not rocket science. There are people right now, me as I'm talking to you, okay, actually, maybe I should not say it. Maybe I should not say it though. I don't know if my employer will see this, so let me not say it. Let me not say anything. But like, there are people right now that have 3 jobs. They're working 3 jobs and they're able to combine that because guess what? They're all working remotely. I did not wake up, like right now, I'm talking to you from Mexico. I did not wake up and appear in Mexico. I had a plan, you know? So if this is something that is important to you and you want to get it within the next 90 days, this is your roadmap. Okay, and this is where you stand right now. Your skills are global currency. And if you're currently in an industry or in a role where you think that you don't have sufficient skills or experience for, then you need to gather the skills and experience. One of the things that I always say to my friends or my mentees or my family who are just starting out, even if you don't have a job right now, it's far better for you to actually spend your time offering volunteering services to companies. I know a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to work for free. But think about it, you're not actually working for free. You're positioning yourself for visibility. Because guess what? That job that you're doing, that volunteering that you're doing, you're going to add it to your resume. You're going to add it to your portfolio and you're going to show, okay, I did this, I did that, right? So if you don't have sufficient skills or experience in the job that you're doing right now or the job that you want to be doing, by all means, start to spend time volunteering and offering your services for free or for less. You can actually get lower paying um, jobs around you, being that you just want to gather the experience so that you can then put that on your resume and you can, be more attractive to recruiters, right? The geography ceiling is real, but it's not a permanent thing. Okay? Most rejections are fixable. I know that for a lot of jobs, when you apply, they don't actually tell you what you did wrong. But with what I've shown you today, you can actually go back and look at your applications, your cover letters, your resume, your LinkedIn, and see where am I missing out on something. And another thing that you also need to keep in mind, right? You also have to have an idea of where are the right places to apply for the right jobs. This is also one of the things that I discuss with my clients. So, depending on the exact role that you're targeting, there are specific remote job boards. So, if you're in marketing, there are specific job boards that are more favorable to marketing roles. If you're in IT, if you're a project manager, if you're a customer success representative, if you're in operations, there are remote job boards that are specifically targeted to these different industries, which you would never know, right? Until you know. So while you're positioning yourself, you fix your CV, you fix your LinkedIn, also look out for the places where you have more advantage. Those job boards, because they are niche, because they are specific to your role, they are likely not as saturated as some of the ones that we know. Like LinkedIn, applying on LinkedIn is extremely difficult right now because there are so many people applying on LinkedIn. And if it's a remote job, it's it even increases or doubles the number of people applying. So imagine a company in the US has a role that is open globally. So now you're competing with all the people in the US that want that job, all the people in China, all the people in the Philippines, all the people in Nairobi, the people in Mexico. You're pretty much competing with everyone around the world, right? On LinkedIn. But if you were applying on a niche site, for example, cord.co or wellfound.com, these are not very popular job boards and they are niched down. So if you're applying on those sites, you're more likely to get a call back because they're not getting that mass application. So they are able to better focus on the small but targeted applications that they are receiving. So that is one thing that you should also look into while you're, positioning for the role that you want. And of course, from what we've said, you now have the roadmap. So it's like it's now up to you. What do you do with it? What is your next step? Okay. So before we proceed, I want you to sit back right now. Close your eyes wherever you are. Just close your eyes for like 30 seconds with me. Close your eyes and just imagine yourself 6 months from now, right? Imagine yourself 6 months from now. Where are you? What are you doing? What role are you working at? How much are you earning? Where do you live? Imagine that now you have the freedom to do whatever you want because now you work remotely, right? Imagine that now you have more money to take care of your needs and your family's needs. Imagine that now you can actually travel to wherever it is that you desire, whether you live in Lagos and you would want to visit your family in the east, in the north, in the west, and now you don't have to apply for leave to go visit your family because guess what? You work remotely. All you need to do is make sure that your travel is on the weekend, and on Monday you resume from wherever you are, so long as you have power and you have good internet. So imagine that now, 6 months from now, you have the job of your dreams, you're earning the right salary, you're living wherever in the world that you desire. If traveling is something that you enjoy, imagine that you're doing that. You have more time with your kids, you have more time with your spouse. Imagine that this is now a possibility for you. And it can be. It can be. I didn't wake up one day and land in Mexico without a plan. If I didn't have a remote job, what will I be doing right now in Mexico? I'll be broke. I'll be so broke. Imagine paying rent in dollars, spending in dollars, and you don't have a job. Or like working remotely made that a possibility for me, right? And it can be a possibility for you too. You just need to apply the right skills, the right strategies, and work with the right people. And that's why we're here. So, like I said, when we get to the end, I have a gift for everyone that is currently on this call, right? So, if this is your first time hearing about remote lifestyle, if you're just encountering us for the first time, I'll just take a minute to tell you the ways that we can help you. Okay? The ways that we can help you. We can support you to get there. Our role is to help ambitious professionals across Africa, across the diaspora, whether you're in the UK, you're in Canada, you're in the US, you're in the global south. Our job is to help you land remote jobs and you can build a location independent career, meaning that you can be living in Bali, Indonesia, and be working for a company in the US. You can be living in Kano, you can be living in Enugu, you can be living in Ibadan, you can be living in Benin, and literally anywhere. and working for a global company. So imagine you're working for a US company that is paying you like $3,000 or $4,000 and you live in Nigeria. What that means is automatically your spending power is increased because of the currency fluctuation or the currency valuation. So imagine that. So that's what one of the things that we help you with. We have an ebook that pretty much walks you through the full playbook. It tells you where to apply. It helps you to actually see what to identify in your resume and in your LinkedIn that you need to tweak. It tells you the strategy to use in applying to make sure that recruiters see your resume or see your application. And the best part is, right, it has every chapter has a workbook. So you're not just reading and not taking action. Every chapter you finish, there's a workbook that tells you, okay, this is what you need to do. Now that you've read this is what you need to do exactly to complete this chapter, right? And then of course we have the starter kit, which is completely free. If you I wouldn't recommend anybody on this webinar to go for the starter kit because you already have the foundation. That's what we did here. So going for the free starter kit is like you're rehashing the thing that you already know. And the thing with movement is a lot of people, they're moving in circles and they think they're moving, but like you're not going anywhere. So you need to stop going around in circles and figure out, how do I move forward? And you can't move forward without taking action. You continue consuming you continue to consume like all this content on the internet until eventually you're confused, like, okay, I don't actually know what to do, right? It's far better for you to have a playbook, a plan that you can follow step by step and actually get to where you're going to, right? So, for people who actually want personalized support, who have tried it themselves and it doesn't seem like what they're doing is working out, we also offer personalized support. We have a one-on-one consulting and career coaching where we look at your profile, we look at your resume, we look at your LinkedIn, we look at the job that you're doing and the job that you're targeting, right? Because for some of us, we think that this is the job that we should be targeting. And meanwhile, there's actually a different opportunity that better fits the skills that we have, right? So that is the advantage of the personalized support, that we are looking at you and what you have done to recommend the steps and what exactly you need to do to advance, right? If you buy the ebook is going to tell you what you generally need to do. But if you now need to go one step further and work on figuring out your own direct strategy to landing a remote role, then I would recommend the one-on-one consulting and career coaching, right? Some of my clients who have had that, I've had people who have zero experience, like zero. They've never had a remote job before. In fact, the last time they updated their LinkedIn was maybe like 4 years ago. These are people that they worked for a few years and were like out of the employment industry for years, and we were able to look at their profile and identify, how do we plug these gaps to still make you look presentable, right? That is the benefit of the one-on-one coaching, because you want to know exactly what you need to do right now to go from guessing to actually doing. And the best thing is, because you're here today, we have an offer for people who are here, right? So this is the offer. If you're here on this call and you book a consultation within the next 48 hours, you also get a free CV and a free LinkedIn review, right? So the free CV, I believe it's priced at the CV review right now is priced at $30. And the LinkedIn review is priced at $30 as well. Then, if you want us to rewrite, because it's one thing to review and say, okay, these are the things that are not working out. But if you want us to go further for that, it's $60 or $75. And we're offering you that for free if you book a consultation within the next 48 hours. So essentially, you're getting a value of at least depending on what you decide you want, you're getting a value of at least $60 for free if you book a consultation. And the consultation, okay, maybe I should talk, I don't know, I'm talking in terms of dollars. So whatever the dollar rate is, convert it to naira. But the good thing is, for people who are in Nigeria, if you can prove to me that you're in Nigeria, actually, the seller will do that. If you're in Nigeria, what I've done is instead of converting to the dollar rate, I just priced it the same. So where you see a $60, if you're paying in naira, it will just be 60,000 naira. So that's what I've done. So when I'm saying dollars, just convert it to naira in your head at the same rate. So you're getting a free CV and LinkedIn review, which is worth $60, right? If you book a consultation. And the consultation, we have 30 minutes at $50 or 1 hour at $100. So basically, you spend $50 and you get $60 worth of freebies. I don't know. That seems like such a great deal to me. But only if you take action within the next 48 hours. Because again, I want to know that you're actually serious. One thing I don't want is for someone to come and we do this work, and after doing it, you go back and you do absolutely nothing with it. So the only way that I can know that you're serious about doing this right now is if you actually take action within the next 2 days. So today is Saturday. By Monday, you need to take action by Monday to get these freebies. And that's how I know you're serious. Because you can't get ahead if you just keep postponing and you're like, okay, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. Later never comes. I know how many people have bought courses and they never even read it. Right? Because we have so many things that we bury that like, oh, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. Some of us perform busyness. We just like, oh, I'm busy, I'm busy. But like, what is important to you? You need to prioritize what is important to you. So, excuse me. So if you're ready to take action now, instead of just saying, I will do it, I will do it, scan this QR code right now. Scan the QR code on your screen. It will lead you to our seller page. And what you need to do is, while booking, mention the code Pajamas48. If you do that, then I'll know that okay, you were definitely in the webinar, right? Mention that code, and once you've made your booking, send your CV and your LinkedIn within 48 hours so we can get to work. We're in June. By the time we're getting to August, I need you to have at least one remote job. There are people who have several. When I lived in Lagos, at a certain point in time, I was doing 4 jobs. I don't even know how I managed. But there was a time when I was in Lagos, I was doing 4 jobs. I was doing my regular job in Lagos, which was 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then I had another full-time remote job, which the job started at I think it was either 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. So 2 p.m. to midnight. That's two jobs. Then I had two other part-time remote jobs as well. One of them I was doing 10 hours a week. That's 2 hours every day. And another one I was doing 4 hours per day. So that's 20 hours a week. Yeah. So four jobs. I don't know how I didn't run mad. I don't know how I did not run mad at that point. But imagine having four jobs. I mean, like, that doesn't have to be your story. You don't have to have four jobs, right? Like, because at the end of the day, the idea is for you to have more time to spend with your family, to have more time to do things that you love. And you can't do that if you're doing four jobs. When I was doing four jobs, I was nah, I 100% don't recommend that. Unless you want to quickly earn as much money as possible right now and then transition into one or two jobs, fine. But doing four jobs long term is not sustainable for your body. Like, you need to rest, right? I was working every day from 8 a.m. to midnight. Just imagine that. Like, it was crazy. So yeah, so what I'm saying with this is, you know, if you're ready right now, like we're ready, as Pastor Jerry would say, if you're ready, like we're ready. You need to scan this QR code right now. Scan the QR code, make your booking, mention the code, and send me your CV and LinkedIn within 48 hours so that I can help you to fix it. Because ultimately, if you've been applying, and not hearing back, it's because you're not doing something right. So it's time to stop guessing and let us work on it together, right? So thank you so much. I'm so glad that, you guys stayed from the beginning to the end. If you have questions, which I want to believe that some of you have questions, drop your questions in the comments. The offer closes at 48 hours. Please follow us on Instagram. This is the Instagram handle. If you have a question, drop it in the comment section right now. I'm going to spend a few minutes answering questions before we wrap it up. So any question that you have now that is free, because after this session, there are no free questions anymore. Ask people that have DM me. Once you DM me any question, I don't do, oh, let me just pick your brain. If you DM me, I will send you my rate card. So if you have any question, as long as it's related to remote job search, CV, LinkedIn, whatever it is, ask your question right now and I will respond and we can wrap this up. This has been a really enjoyable session for me, at least. I'm hoping that you also got something from it. If you've enjoyed the session, just drop in the comments that you've enjoyed it so that I will, be motivated to do more of this. This is actually my first webinar, and I want to believe that it will be first of many. So yeah, drop your questions right now and I will answer your questions if you have any. And if you don't have any questions, then go and follow us on Instagram. Other search company, you mean the job board? Well found. Well found. It used to be called Angel List. I mentioned Well Found and I mentioned Cord, CORD.co. Those are the job boards. Obviously, there are a few others, right, that are also targeted, but these two for sure will get you ahead. If you're someone who is into project management, virtual assistants, which other one? Customer support, those three. There are a lot of jobs on Hubstaff Talents. It's a remote job board as well, and they post roles like they are always posting roles on that platform. So if you're someone within those industries, head to Hubstaff. You definitely find something for you. Um, Upwork is also another platform. The good thing about Upwork is the recruitment process is usually very straightforward. Whereas for a traditional job, you will probably go through at least three interview stages. On Upwork, for the most part, just one stage, one interview, and boom. If the person likes you, they'll hire you on the spot. So that is one of the things that I like about Upwork. Upwork, I remember one time I applied for a job. It was a Saturday evening. I applied for a job. I just saw the job on Upwork and I applied. And the person, the hiring manager, responded immediately and asked if I was available for an interview. And I said yes. So between when I applied and when we did interview, I think maybe like an hour. Yeah. We did the interview in an hour. I got the job on the spot. So that is a great thing about Upwork. I think when I'm doing the next version of this webinar, I will talk about strategies for applying to jobs on these different sites. So I'll take all the different sites and talk about the strategies that you can use that actually, definitely works. You're welcome. For Upwork, one of the strategies that I've used that works for me a lot is apply for jobs on the weekend, right? Apply on the weekend. A lot of people are not applying on the weekend. So automatically you're standing out. Every time that I've applied for a job on Upwork on the weekend, I usually get a response. So it's now for you to move from getting a response to acing the interview, because it's one thing to get a response based on your CV. It's now another thing to be able to talk well enough about the skills that you've done to actually land the role. So that's another freebie for you. Apply for jobs on the weekend and you're likely to get a response. Okay. In the absence of any other questions, I'm going to wrap this up. I did say we're only going to be here for an hour and we've been able to do that and with a little more time over. So, again, if you're ready to take action, scan the QR code, or I believe you should have already scanned the QR code. And if you missed scanning the QR code, feel free to send us a DM on Instagram and I'll send you the link so that you can book your 48 hours offer. So, as I always say, until next time, follow me for more remote job tips. Thank you guys and have a lovely weekend. Bye.